Welcome to the Dad's Nerdy Ambitions podcast. I'm your host, Steve Pugh, and I have the honor tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I have the pleasure of having one of the OGs. I have Bob LeMent on the show, the host of Static Radio. This is a podcast that was back in, and not to date people here, but like back in the 90s. You were 1999. You created this in 1999, dude. That is correct, 1999?
Yeah, no,
yeah.
Officially it's 1999. We actually did test shows on Thanksgiving night, 1998.
Wow.
To just test it out and see if it would work. And
First, welcome to the show. Second, thank you for being on.
Just jump right in.
Thirdly, I'm curious. I'm going to age myself here because I'm about to be 39, but 1999, I was probably only like 9 or 10.
Yeah, grade school.
Yeah,
Bob, you're so old.
No, what was that? Oh, I'm totally lying to you. I was 2001. I was a freshman, so yeah, I was in middle school. Regardless, you came out just before Y2K,
right?
Like,
yeah.
Was your like, hilarious. What? Screw it. We might lose everything. Let's just do it now and see what happens.
No, I was definitely not a Y2K prepper. I'll be honest with you. I thought Y2K was kind of funny. I was not didn't fall for all the stuff that the hype, because it wasn't, it was not really hype. I mean, it was really hype. It wasn't really much to it, to be honest with you.
No, it was a great big
working in technology somewhat. Yeah, this was like, okay, we just need to update a few things and we'll be fine. It's not like everything's going to crash.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we have to add 2 more digits to the things. And it's like, well, yeah, that's what programmers do. They add things to programs so that you don't have to worry about them later. It just took them a long time because everything was working. Everybody's lazy. That's what everybody doesn't realize. Everybody's really lazy. And they're like, yeah, we'll get you the 2 digits. Just, cool your jets, man. We got to go have some beers tonight and the next 8 months. And by January, it'll all be done. Don't worry about it. And it was, amazingly enough.
It was. It was.
No problem.
Dude, they made it seem like it was going to be the end of the world. I remember this. And I was a kid, and I have to believe what the adults say as a kid. And I'm like, oh my God, we're all going to die. This is the apocalypse. I was like, I kid you not. I bought a book for like a survival guidebook as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went and found all my old like Boy Scout, Cub Scout books and everything like that. And I'm like, this is what's going to keep me alive, because the adults are saying we're done. And then I remember it happening. And then like 2000 came, and there was, they were playing. Who was it? Was it over in New York? Was it REM playing "It's the End of the World"? I think they were.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's great.
REM
starts with an earthquake, birds, snakes, and airplanes. Lenny Bruce is not afraid.
I loved it, and it was like, nothing happened. It was like,
nothing happened. Yeah. Everybody panicked for nothing. Yeah, that was a big fizzle. I mean, that's I hate to tell it. Yeah, but no, the funny thing is, the reason we started doing this had nothing to do with that, unfortunately.
Okay.
But it had to do with it was in college radio. Miles and I did a show on college radio. We had a lot of fun. You grow up and you have to move on with your life. Well, most people do. Apparently I don't. And I'm like, well, we don't live anywhere near each other. We're going to go on our life's journey. And I'm like, hey, guess what? I think I can put together an online radio thing if you want to do a show. And at the time we did it over the telephone. Right.
Okay.
And so he's like, he doesn't, like I told you before we started recording officially, I guess I said, he doesn't do anything. And so he's like, yeah, sure. Whatever. Call me. And so I put all this stuff together and I said, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do like the show that we used to do in college. It took me a little bit to get it all together. That's why January. And And I said, and I'll call you up and we'll have a regular time and we'll do kind of what we did. And I'm like, but we can't play music because, everybody's getting their, ass suit off by Napster at that point in time. So I said, we'll just do the funny stuff. And he's like, I'm fine with that. I don't want to listen, I don't need to sit and listen to music with you for an hour. And so we basically just told stories, which is what we used to do on our show back in college. Is you only in college, you only get so much. Well, you can kind of play with the rules a little bit, but they really only want you to do so much time where you talk. You're supposed to play record, play music, read PSAs, do commercials, and then you get a little bit of time to talk. Well, we always overdid it. And I'm like, well, we can overdo it all we want here, right? So that's how it all started was via that thing because we enjoyed doing that in college so much. And so we're like, okay, well, let's keep the party going. And then here we are now 26 years later. And I'm like, what the hell happened?
First
what
off,
are we doing?
I think it's amazing that you guys can continue to talk about stuff like having this fun conversation 26 years later. Second, that's an amazing friendship right there. That's a relationship. At this point, you guys, might as well just be stuck with each other. Start filing taxes together.
I'm glad I met my wife before I met him. Who knows what would happen.
And I love the fact
probably
that
wouldn't have worked out, to be honest with you.
I love the fact that you said, he does nothing. I have an amazing co-host, and I wish he was here right now. I wish he was on the show with me right now.
He's such a bum. I could talk bad about him, but he didn't show up. He was supposed to be here.
Oh, every time, dude, every time I get I do an interview and he's not here, I typically call him out and I'm like, my boy Kevin's supposed to be here. No, he's playing, he's cheating on me right now, playing D&D with another group. So that's nice on him. Yeah. So
the neutral evil cleric that he's been playing for the last year and a half. He's got to keep staying in the game.
Oh yeah, no, but he's a bum. I love him, but he just comes on here and he's my moral support, and then we'll just go on random nerdy tangents, and I have nothing but love for him. But the fact that I think is that what makes a proper podcast? You just have to have that person that hyper fixates on everything and does all the work, and then there's the one person that's just chilling in the corner.
I think that's the formula. I guess
is that what it is?
It seems to be. Or at least at the very least for my situation is I am into technology and know about a lot of different things in technology, and he doesn't. I mean, he can barely use his phone, and that's just a sad statement right there.
It's so weird how in sync common we are there, because that's legit. I call him Hodor. He is my Hodor. Hodor. He's such a great guy, though. He is. So you've been doing this for 26 years, and you were doing it with dial-up, and you're doing it over the phone, and you got to evolve with technology.
Oh yeah.
How does that feel? Do you ever look back and go oh my God, how did we function? How did we make this work?
Well, for me, I think it's a lot of fun because there's constant exploration and finding new things and trying out things and experimenting and so forth. And so for me, that's what I love to do. So it feeds that, kind of need to see what's going to happen in the future and so forth, and so, so we started out, the funny thing was we started out with, I had an old iMac, a Bondi Blue iMac kind of situation. And I got an external mic for it. And then I had a speakerphone. And so I would set the microphone on the speakerphone, and then it would capture both of us. That was the high tech way that we recorded at the very beginning, was a speakerphone with a microphone going into the computer to digitize the audio. So, not anything, no great shakes there. And then, but as time went on, things evolved. And then well, the funny thing was I was using Skype at one point and he was still on the phone. I actually paid money to Skype in order to call landlines to continue the show, because I thought then I don't need to have this, microphone thing. I can just record directly through Skype. But it's
Uh,
gotten so much easier. I mean, it's, you know, the that's the great thing and the aggravating thing, because before you had to think about, how am I going to do this, what's it going to sound like, how am I going to improve these things, right? Now you just hop on and everybody's hunky-dory, everything sounds pretty good, and they don't really have to think about it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of brain work going into things in the past, where now, okay, I'll just pay for Riverside, or I'll pay for Zoom, or I'll pay for whatever, StreamYard, and I'll do a podcast. And so that part of it's kind of aggravating.
Calling
'Cause
me out
there's
here
none
a
of
little
that.
bit.
There's none of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but overall though, the thing really boils down to, and I thought, this is my, what do you want to call it? This is my wisdom from the mountain kind of statement, is you have to like doing it, right? And it has to kind of scratch that itch. So for us, it scratches the itch of several things in a way. So we love to record things and have fun, and we like each other, so that's fun. And then if we can share it beyond that, and do the technological aspect of all these things, that's fun. So I mean, it really is just a mountain of fun at this point, because all the things kind of hit a spot that you want to do anyway. And so it's been a great outlet, a creative outlet. I've always had creative outlets, and this has become kind of one of the major ones in my life. I still do other things, but and it's lasted this long, and I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. The terrible thing is, and when I talk about it, if one of us dies, that's it. We're done. This is the end of all of this stuff.
Oh.
Especially if it's me, because then he can't do anything. If he dies, I could carry on, but chances are I probably would just wrap it up, because we're so intertwined with this project that there is no replacement kind of a situation. Maybe I do something different. I don't know, but it is a weird thing.
But
But it really is fun.
I see, my favorite thing about this, and I kind of gave you my origin stories before. Like I was telling you, like this was like a way for me to answer my family's obnoxious questions about nerd
Hmm.
culture. But I'm a dad, and I live such a busy life. I have
Hmm.
like literally kids in karate. I have twin. They're 6 years old now. They're in school. I have a high schooler now. I work, and then I do a billion other things. And this to me is not a substitution, but it gives me the itch relief that I need for just hanging out with my friends and just venting. And
Hmm.
the fact that, because I live in Connecticut, and it's not a huge state. It's like 2 hours wide, 2 hours tall, but it's my friends live in different parts, and it allows us to sit here and communicate and just relax and vibe out and have a blast, and
Hmm.
talk about absolutely nothing, or have a subject and just kind of focusing on it. And I love that. I really do. And I love the fact that I've got to meet some really, really fun people into it too. Like I have this, she's a very good friend now, and she lives out in England. And so this gives me the ability to talk to her and just hang out and have a good conversation. And I love that I can use this as a platform for that kind of, like, those
Oh yeah.
friendships.
It's
It's such a
fantastic. Yeah.
blast.
I always say that. So I've met people and talked to people all over the world because of this, because of podcasting. And it's been, I would have never done it, right? It would have never happened.
Hmm.
uh, just because you can't be all those places, and it gives you a conduit, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I totally know what you mean, and it's so interesting that it can happen, because, well, when you were in junior high, that wasn't going to happen back. Then
Yeah.
it was very rare, And so, having, and that wasn't necessarily what I thought would happen, and it has. And so it's been really, fantastic. I can't tell you how many, like, I should write down how many countries I've talked to people in over the years, but I couldn't even think. But I mean, Australia,
Hmm.
all over Europe. Obviously, we're a little bit limited with the fact that I don't speak anything but English. But other than that, but I have talked to people who English is not their first language, and so they've
Hmm.
been, kind enough to, include me, and we had a good conversation. So it's wild though, because now going forward, everybody's like, yeah, whatever. I talk to people all over the world, yeah, every day. What do you care? You know what I mean?
I,
And so
that's
it's
so
not as big a
crazy.
deal. But growing up, this is like unattainable.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Um, from like so I'll say from 2005 to 2014 I was in the Navy. I got to go to 32 different countries. Very lucky about that. Got to see some
Yeah.
really cool places. And I remember when you're talking about this, using Skype, you had to pay for Skype. I remember paying for Skype and trying to, say hi to my wife and everything, and talk to, my kid. And I just remember how absolutely crazy that was. And,
Hmm.
this my son will never know what it's like to have to write a letter for a pen pal. He'll never know what it's like to pay 5 cents per letter when making a text, and that's where leak came from. And it's mind boggling to me. So I can only, and respectfully, not aging you here, but like your growth through technology and you getting to see it from your side too. I can only imagine how like mind-boggling it is for you. I mean, just case in point, this episode, after we're done, we have the technology now where I could probably edit this episode within an hour and have it beautifully done. I can't imagine what it was like 10, 15 years for you, and how much like Adobe has everything. And if you don't want Adobe, there is 15 billion things on the internet that you can go
Oh yeah.
access to and download. And it's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
And
Well, I can tell you one of the things that evolved from us is that we don't edit that much, because I'm also incredibly lazy, unfortunately. And so we really uh, practice, right? So we have, I won't call it a formula necessarily, but we do have a formula. And so when we come to do the show, we started out, we do our thing, and the fact that it's supposed to be humorous and so forth, mistakes fit into the humor. So if you have, as long as it's not anything that grinds everything to a halt, you just muscle through it and it'll be fine. And so yeah, so early on, I'm like, I'm not editing all of these, because at the time, the early times, editing was really hard, because audio files were at the time considered very large, and it was unwieldy to try to edit these things on a computer, even at the time, because of the file size and so forth. And so, you'd edit one episode, and then you had to post it somewhere, which is a whole other thing, because there wasn't all these services, and so you didn't have a lot of space. And so, in the early days, things got taken down because you ran out of space. So you can't have 100 episodes because you only have space for like six. And
yeah,
so you just put your six up, and then whenever you got to six, you took one down, and you deleted stuff off your hard drive and so forth. Thankfully, I saved everything. And if you really, really want to, you can go listen to the first show in 1999 on the website. All of them are there
really.
now. Oh yeah, all of them are there.
Oh
I
my
got
gosh,
finally
I'm
got them
totally
all
gonna go
there.
do that.
The only problem is that some of them don't have descriptions, because those got lost to time. Because I mean, we were ahead of WordPress. I was doing HTML, so the whole website came into existence because a friend of mine loaned me a book called How to Learn HTML in 7 Days. And in 7 days, I made a website. I didn't know how to program HTML at the time, and I was like, I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this website, and sure enough, I just kind of followed the steps and came up with a website. You can actually even go look at the old website if you
Oh, that's
really
so
poke
cool.
around. But so yeah, so that, I mean, all that, and then we didn't get into what WordPress was like 2005, I think. was WordPress, and it kind of paralleled podcasting. Podcasting was September 2004 was the first inkling of podcasting in the world. And so, yeah, it was just, all these iterations. And so finally, I mean, I still have a WordPress site. I have thought about moving to other platforms and so forth, but I've just been stubborn because I don't pay that I don't pay that much for everything, and if I go into these other areas, then the price goes up and so
Mhm.
forth. Because I mean, we got over 1,500 shows at this point, just doing once a week for all these years. So,
That's
um,
insane.
but no, it's yeah. So I mean, it's just weird to think about all that, but it's changed so much. There wasn't even MP3 when we started. Think about that.
I that came well. I'm sitting over here listening to you, and when you're talking about like you were uploading your episodes and everything, and I was like, and you could only have so much. I'm thinking, man, what was what was it like? You were only allowed to have like 30 megabytes on your website at the time. Was it all in kilobytes? Was it?
Well, yeah, we only get 500K.
Yeah, like I just remember like being really small for stuff. I remember like little because I remember when I was in middle school and going into high school, they were learning how to do all that kind of stuff too.
Hmm.
And so we were making our own. We made our like now that I think about it, what we did as kids was super dangerous. Like we made websites and we posted them up on the internet and
Hmm.
they were us and they were about us and all this
Right.
and we posted up all our own private information, photos of us, our birthdays, what school and our favorite things. And I'm like, I go back and I think about that. I'm like, oh my God,
There
how am
wasn't
I
that many
still
people
alive?
then.
Yeah.
There wasn't as
But
many people on the internet back then. It was just a
it's
bunch of
so
nerds.
crazy. Yeah, it's so great. Um, I I love this. Like I don't often get to reminisce like this about like technology, and this is so much fun for me. Uh, golly, like
So
that's
to give
yeah,
you a little insight,
yeah.
uh, so the statute of limitations is run out, but I used my work server. That's how I posted. So I had server space that I could use. Well, that I used. I didn't ask anybody's permission. That I used at work because I had access to a server and was doing other work. And the other thing was the first year we used a thing called Real Audio, which no one's going to remember. But there was a program called Real Audio that was essentially the MP3 of the day. And it was very expensive software. And I somehow convinced my boss to let me purchase Real Audio for the work server. And so
That's
I I utilized that because I did use it for work because it was something that I could use for work, but it was very kind of esoteric technology really for people, and so I lucked out in that regard. And then as time went on, everything became much more affordable and easy, and I did move off of the work server before uh, podcasting actually came into its own. But I was on the work server for probably a good 2 or 3 years, kind of under the radar, as it were. And so I could have probably posted more, but I
mhm.
didn't want to, you know, bring
Get in
any
trouble.
eyes in my direction. Well,
I love that.
what's this, 500 megabyte section used for? A couple of dimwits talking to each other. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would have gone over real well.
I think I think it's pretty safe to say, like unless you're actively involved in like the IT tech world, most people are not going to know. And even if they did question it, you could easily shrug it off to something else because, especially back in the early days, nobody knew nothing about nothing, so they would just go,
Hmm.
yep, whatever
Yeah,
you say, I absolutely believe it.
right.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah. So that the funny thing was, I actually even used that server after I left for a while. I left where I worked at, and then for a while, and came back, and I used that server the whole time because nobody ever cut my permissions off. So I mean, yeah, it's been 20 some years ago. And so, yeah, it's, totally, off the mark there. No one knew what was going on. It just happened to be this stuff that no one paid attention to. So
I love
lucky
that.
for
That's
me, I
awesome.
guess.
So let me ask you this, because you were there in the beginning and you've gotten to see the evolution of podcasts.
Mhm.
Why do you think podcasting hit off so well? Why is it that there is such a market out there? Like there is a podcast for everything. I can go on, listen to if I want to find out about beer. I can
Mhm.
sit here and nerd out. What
Yeah.
makes it so tantalizing?
Well, I think I always, this is a little bit of I want to say a history lesson, but a history lesson from my perspective. I'll put it that way.
Mhm.
So podcasting became a term back in 2004, in roughly August, right? And then in September, we put our first RSS feed out and MP3 and enclosure and everything for being a podcast. So, and by a stroke of happenstance or luck or whatever, I was listening to Adam Curry do his show called The Daily Source Code. If you want to dig around and read about this stuff, Adam Curry, they call him the Pod Father and everything.
Mhm.
He wasn't really the guy who invented podcasting. He's the guy who made it known. So
Mhm.
the guy named Dave Weiner did all the programming and did all the hard work to do an RSS enclosure. Curry was egging him on and helping him, along the way. But he was a known quantity at the time, and so he put the spotlight on it. And so anyway, I always say, because I can't remember, unfortunately, and I can't find it. I've looked several times, but we were one of the first 30 podcasts on Adam Curry's website. He started listing the podcasts as they came into existence. You would just
That's
send him an
awesome.
email, which I did. Hey, we got a podcast, Adam. Here's where the RSS is, and then he would add it to the list. And I know we were part of the first 30 because by the time it got to 50, we had already been on the list. So I know we were somewhere in there. And
That's awesome.
and so yeah, and so then it built from there. So that was 2004. The first real push for podcasting as something that wasn't just a few people wasn't really until about 2011. So all those years started building. So you had a lot of enthusiasts or nerdy folks and like that doing things, but not anybody with any other than Curry, who was MTV VJ. Nobody else was really of too much note.
Mhm.
Then in 2011, that's when NPR and some things got in there and Serial and all that kind of stuff. And that was the first big bump. But you still, if you had a podcast, you were made fun of, right? Even in those days. Oh, you got a podcast. So, and then in 2020 is really when, during COVID was when it really exploded and the mainstream. I knew ahead of that, probably, I want to say it was like 2014, 2013, because my wife, I got a note that said we were getting charged on Apple for something, and I'm like, "What is this?" She's like, "Oh, I'm paying for a podcast." I'm like, "Son of a bitch! What do you what do you mean?" She's like, "Well, this is really interesting," and I'm like, "Okay." So then I knew, that this had made it, and then 2020 just took off. But I think the reason that all that progression happened, right? So I think we're, first wave is 2004, it becomes in existence, 2011, second wave, 2020, third wave of podcasting, where it's kind of coming to its own. And I think the reason is because of the fact that now everybody has grown up in a nonlinear world. If I want to watch a show, I watch it when I want to watch it. I don't have to wait, right? And so now you have folks like yourself and other people who are younger who don't have to wait for things, and podcasting is a don't wait media, right? You just go get it and you can go back and listen, and you got the long tail, right? Netflix and everything. So all that hadn't come into fruition until about that time period where everybody had been living with it, and they're like, why would I listen to the radio? I have to wait. I can listen to this and get what I want when I want it. And so it really, that's, I think, what brought it, kind of from the darkness of, kind of being a niche thing into the light of being something that was so popular. That, and obviously money. People started putting money into these things, celebrities, you know, everybody, talks about Mark Maron. There was hundreds of people before Mark Maron. They just weren't known. And there was thousands of people before Joe Rogan. Just you didn't know him. You don't know anything. Because all those people, and even today, all those people were in traditional media and have switched over. Now in the next, 5 years, maybe not even, maybe now you're going to have people who they're known because they've been doing this the whole time. Right. And so we're finally at that stage. I think we're still in transition because a lot of the big podcasts for a lot of the charts and everything are, are Jason Bateman and all these people who had a whole other careers that put them in the limelight. And so then they're taking their shot on this side because it's the thing to do. And I mean, it's all good, right? I'm not complaining about it, other than the fact that, it's like, well, we had our own basketball court, and then all these NBA players show up and they're kicking our asses, And
you're allowed to pull the hipster card there. You're allowed to pull the hipster card because you get the flex. You do. You deserve that. You've earned that. Right.
I mean, that's just the way it goes, though. But there's so much money, right? So they just start pouring money in for a short time. I don't even know how long it was now, but probably about not quite a year or something. Our show was on Mevio, which was Adam Curry's podcasting network back in 2007, 2008. And so, yeah, we were part of that, early stuff. You could make some money. It wasn't a lot of money and, be like a real kind of show. And so we did that, and then Mevio went away, right? It tanked. It was called Pod Show originally and became Mevio. But anyway, I'm just going to throw out all these random things that no one cares about. But,
I love it.
So then, but for me at least, because I have kids too, and oddly enough, my kids are younger than the podcast or older than not older than podcast. My kids were born during the podcast and grew up with it essentially. And so, they have all this, nonsense that I've been involved with over these years. They became aware of it as they got older. But, it's just kind of funny like that. It's just now they grew up, my kids, as an example, grew up never having to wait. Right. So also with my, kind of weird technology interests. So I had an old computer and I turned it into basically a movie playing machine and had made an interface, right? And they just go up and click on a name and it would play Elmo or it would play whatever they wanted to play. I just ripped them all in. And, so even before other kids had some of this stuff, they had it. And so I think that's the aspect of things that pushes podcasting is because I want it now. I want to listen now. I want to know now. And also the fact that it can be so niche. Radio can't be niche, right? Radio's got to be broad. We got to get as many ears as we can, and we got to, to get the advertisers and so forth. But this is so niche. You can do whatever you want. And chances are, if, you're out in the world, somebody will find you and come and take a listen or whatever. So that's really changed a lot too, because that now everything's that way. And advertising has moved that way. And so it's really, it's a whole new world, basically. It just totally tumbled over in the last 20 years. 20 years ago, I mean, I couldn't even say I had a podcast 20 years ago. Everybody just laugh at you. Or they go, I don't even know what you're talking about. They're like, oh, you have an iPod? Yeah, I got one too. Who cares? They didn't understand it.
I love that I feel for you a lot. I really do, because in the same aspects that I will say what really happened, because I am an uber nerd. I have been nerdy my entire life. And for a good portion of it, I had to hide it because, it was never the cool thing. And I will say it wasn't probably till about 2001. When was like the Wolverine or the X-Men movie came out, and Tobey
Hmm.
Maguire's Spider-Man. That's when people were like, whoa, this is
Yeah,
kind of
it's
cool.
great.
And then Iron Man came out, and Disney's just like started slamming every year. Like my
Hmm.
kid has never known a year without a superhero movie.
Yeah.
And I can remember them being like, I might get one every couple years. I remember Blade coming out
Hmm.
and it's saying Marvel and nobody batting an eye knowing that that was a comic.
Right.
And
Exactly. Like, oh, that's just
mm,
Wesley Snipes. Where's Woody Harrelson?
yeah,
That's what they were
it's so
saying. It was white man can't jump, but he's got a knife.
yes.
What is that?
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And then you know, so I feel for you there in that stage. And I can only imagine with your wife, like back then when you were first doing this, she's like, oh, he has a podcast. But now she can be like, he was one of the originals, guys.
No,
Let me
she
tell
still doesn't
you.
do that. Trust me.
Oh, she does. She humbles you. Uh,
Yeah, she's like, well, if you make a bunch of money, then I would know. But she no, but I mean, it's just been kind of my thing, and
yeah,
it's not her thing, and so forth, and so yeah, I mean, but it's fine. It's just like, if you have I don't know, woodworking shop, and you go out and make, benches or bird feeders all day, and then your wife's like, yeah, whatever, get out of here for a while so
that's
I can do
exactly.
something else.
Yeah, I'm like, look at this episode I made. Isn't it great? And she'll be like,
Yeah.
mm-hmm, yeah, very
Yeah,
good. We're,
great.
we're, we're
Good for
proud of you.
you. Yeah.
Okay. And then just,
That's right. Did it cost us anything? No. No more than I've already. Okay, great. That's fantastic.
she's one of those people that listens to like the murder podcasts and everything and
Hmm.
all the true crime stuff and all that.
Hmm.
So like I expect like my death will be coming if I like, it's going to be like one lifted toilet seat that I forgot to close down and it's all over for me.
That's
You
right.
know,
Yeah. All they're doing is taking notes, and they're like, okay,
one
these people got away with it. And if we do the, go through AI, say who got away with murdering people. And, oh, here's a list. How did they do it? Okay. And then it'll boil down to like about five things, and that's what's going to happen to you.
100%, 100%. And none of my friends will be shocked. Not even a little bit. Uh,
Yeah, they'll be like, yeah, I was just waiting.
yeah, I've been on borrowed time. You know, okay, so you have been doing this a long time. And I I'll be honest. Last year I took a little bit of a break. I took a 6 month siesta because
Hmm.
I was very burnt out. I was doing an episode every week and I was doing a lot of work and I do a lot of charities and I have my family and I'm very active in my community, you know. So the fact that you have continually been keeping this going, how do you keep that spark alive? Like how do you keep things fresh with you and Miles?
Apparently, I'm over demanding and overbearing. Apparently, uh, I don't. That's a good question. Well, so this is a weird thing, and I don't even know how it ties into this. But
Uh-huh.
a long, long time ago, I don't. I can't believe I'm gonna quote a billionaire here. Which why should I be quoting a billionaire? He's quoting me. Um, so Jerry Seinfeld, he said that in order to learn how to write jokes, he just started writing something every day, right? And I don't do it
Mhm.
every day, but and he would mark it off on this calendar that he did something, right? And he kept the schedule, and that's how he learned his trade, right? And did his thing. And it always has stuck with me, right? So this would be back in the '90s in the heyday of Seinfeld and so forth. And so I've always kind of taken that, you know, in, and I'm like, okay, if we're gonna do this, right? I don't care how often we do this. Let's pick something, and then we're gonna do it.
Mm.
And so then that's when the weekly thing. Well, we'll do it once a week, right? Because typically, your friends anyway. Chances are you touch base, on some kind of interval, right? And so we just picked once a week, and that's what it was. And I'm just like, okay, it's once a week. That's it. Every week, we need to try to do something unless there's a reason we can't do it. And so we've only missed, I want to say, only 5 shows in 26 years that we didn't put something out every week. And one of them was
Wow.
9/11 because
Mhm.
everybody was, you know, that was before podcasting anyway, but in 2001, because everybody was just so depressed, right? And
Yeah.
so we missed that week. I did put something up, but it wasn't a show. We didn't feel like being funny.
Mm.
Um, uh, Deaths of like siblings, missed the
Mm.
week. My house burnt down. We missed a week. uh,
If that's a justified one.
yeah, yeah. And death of a parent and so forth. And so, but that's pretty much been it. I mean, there may have been, so we had like we always have a time we record religiously. It's always that time that, we've switched it a couple of times over the years as far as what day and time and everything, but we've pretty much, that's it. That's what I'm doing. What are you doing tonight? This is what I'm doing. And even if I've been, away, like I go on vacation, he goes on vacation. We either have shows ahead that we put out, but we try not to do it too much because
Mm.
we found, at least for us, the fun is in the spontaneity, and so it has to happen every week. We can't, like, okay, we're gonna talk tonight for 2 hours or 3 hours, and then just chop it up and put it out as episodes. Never works, right? So we have to do that every week, kind of thing,
Mm.
in order for it to be fun. When we go on vacation and whatnot, then we will do a couple of episodes and then throw them out. But that's the not the norm, right? And I've done it when I'm sick. Early on, one time, I can't remember what it was. It was probably in the 2000s. I had laryngitis, and our wives did a show for us. So
Oh,
we
that's
got
awesome.
that was really early on. I can't believe they agreed to do it, but they did and told some stories, and we put out a show because I couldn't talk at that time for that week. I mean, I just told, like you mentioned, you had your sore throat,
Yeah.
your razor COVID or
Razor
whatever.
COVID. It's
Um,
freaking fun
but yeah, so
stuff.
we did that once, but no, and I don't know how I explain the why, because there is no why other than I'm like, okay, we're doing this, and it's like almost blind. I'm just dumb, and I'm just like, yeah, every week we do this. You know what I mean? People get in patterns, and I think that's part of the thing. But I do really, if it's not going to happen, uh, I'll go, okay, well, what can we do? I mean, then you go into that mode. Okay, well, we're going to do. Okay, we're going to do it the night before. We're going to do it the night after. We're gonna bank a couple, and just to get through this dry period. So it's, like I said, it's very, very rare. It's not even one a year that we don't hit. And they're all not stellar. Let's be
Mhm.
honest. Some of those shows are terrible, but it's it's just doing it, and it's always fun. And so that's the thing. So far, I guess we've been lucky enough to where neither one of us was in the hospital for any length of time to where we couldn't do something. But well, even when my house burnt down, I lived in a hotel for a month, and we did the show. I did it on an iPad. So,
That's
I got an
that's dedication.
iPad. I didn't have a computer, and I went and we got an iPad, and I still did the show and just recorded that way. So, yeah, you just find a way. It's just weird, but it the I don't I don't have a really good explanation as to why, other than I'm just like, maybe just tough headed or something, and I'm just like, yeah, this is what we're doing.
Can you imagine you not doing the podcast now? Can you
Not
imagine not
Oh,
even a
every
little
week
bit?
I'm like, I don't want to do this. Yeah, no, I'm like, yeah, I've had enough of you. I don't even want to do this anymore. Um, no, I mean, honestly, I'd miss it. And the funny thing is, now that my kids are grown up, and so when they were little, because we're not necessarily the most family friendly all the time, I'll be honest with you. And so I didn't let them really listen to anything when they were really young and younger. And so then now that when they got older and got to be teenagers and stuff, they knew about it and so forth. And now my son comes to me all the time. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I had a static story happen. I was here, and something nutty happened. It was funny." And so it's become a thing. My daughter does it a bit. My son's a little bit more into it, but that's fine. But and so yeah, so we have this kind of thing. And then the other night, my wife goes, "Well, whenever you're tired of doing it, maybe he can do it. I go, yeah, we could do that.
A generational
Yeah, he's got to
podcast.
find
That's
somebody else to do
amazing.
it. I'm not going to let him do it with Miles. That guy's a jerk. He has to find his own co-host. But no, yeah, but he could. I mean, it's weird because we kind of have. I don't want to say it's a. I said formula, and it is a formula, but there is a certain pace to everything, and a certain way it happens, and but the thing is, if you watch any of your favorite shows or anything, all of them have that. And so
Mm.
you just have to hit that stride. And then once you're in it, you just know it. And you're like, yeah, just do this. And you go forward with it. So that's not really super, deep or anything, but
It's no, that's a great answer though. It's just you have it. It is become part of your daily, well, weekly life.
yeah,
I think
weekly.
that's really cool.
If it
So
was daily, I'd probably have trouble, but yeah, weekly.
all right. So I think we have to talk about the elephant in the room, or in this case, the cat. What made
Yeah.
you decide to use this animation? So
So,
we do video, and so the video
oh,
people
well,
can see
good.
this, but
I was
yeah.
hoping I
Uh,
wasn't doing this for no reason.
oh no, yeah, yes, but the audio people can't. And I've been talking to for almost the last hour a cat, and
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. But where did that? What's the origins of this? And does
So
Miles have a
yeah, the
dog?
cat. No, no, he's a well. That's a technological problem. He's a snowman, oddly enough. But
Oh.
the so many years ago, we had a person who listened regularly, and he said, "I really would love to see a cartoon of this. You guys being, doing the show as a cartoon," and that really stuck with me. And just loving to mess with technology, I tried it several times over the years, and nothing that wasn't extremely difficult, right? It has to be that balance between fun and not over destroying your life, kind of a situation. So I finally found a way to do it where it wasn't gonna take up enormous amounts of time. So it was around 2018, I think there was. If you go on the YouTube, you can see both of us animated back then. Um, but so I animated the show, and what I did was it was all post when I first tried it. So
Mm,
we'd record the show like normal. I recorded it to two separate tracks. So then we had a track for him and a track for me, and then
mm,
I would animate based off of those tracks on the separate characters. And so we did do a bunch of episodes like that are on YouTube, where he's a snowman. And that's where, if you see I still haven't changed my graphic, but there's like a lightning bolt on one side.
mm.
He would be on the other side of the lightning bolt, kind of like, the phone cord separator and old
I love
television
that.
shows and everything.
Dude, that's a callback.
And so anyway, he'd be on the other side of the lightning bolt, and we would do the show that way. And we did it for a long time, and then I was going on big, but it took a lot of work back then,
Mm,
right? So I'd have to render everything out, and literally it would render on my computer overnight. And so I would get it set up to, everything set up the way I wanted, and I'd hit the render button, I'd go to bed, and then I'd come in the morning and I'd check on it before I went to work, and hope that it finished, right? Because if
yeah.
it didn't, I'd have to start all over because it literally took all night. And so yeah, if it finished, then we had a show, and then if it didn't, I had to start it again, and I'd start it before I left for work, and then I'd come home and I'd be like, did it make it? Yeah, it made it. So, or it crashed, and then I'd have to start over. So anyway, I did that for months, and then went on vacation. And when I got back from vacation, I said, I'm killing myself with this stupid animation, so I'm not going to do it anymore. And because it failed so much, and it took up so much space, and I don't like to get rid of things. I'm a bit of a digital hoarder. And so then I had all these files, and I was buying hard drives, and I'm like, this is too much, right? The time is just not right. So I'm a little too early on this. And so we did have shows to do that. And the other problem was that Miles can't do it. right? He doesn't even live anywhere near me. And there's no way in the world that I can talk him through how to make this happen. With his knowledge, right? His knowledge base is just not there. And so if I could, I would have done it, right? If we could have, and he doesn't even have, I mean, half the time I'm lucky if, I can get him to even record sometimes. So there's problems, but so then I'm like, okay, we're going to drop that. But then in 2020, everybody's doing podcasts and they want guests. And I resurrected the cat to be me as a guest because I'm like, I don't want to be, I'm not a camera ready person. Right. So I'm like, you're a good looking young man here, Steve. So
Thank
you're
you.
good for that. Me, I'm the old haggard guy who, and so I'm like, I'm going to bring back the cat, and this is real time. So I have it set up so my webcam is looking at my face. You can see my eyebrows go up. You can see me blink. It syncs to my voice. So I did all that for being a guest, and so when I'm on, now I actually do it for the show now. And then Miles is just a icon or whatever. He's just a thing because there's no way I'm not even gonna get into it. And so I do it for our show now too. But the reason I resurrected all of it was to be a guest, and so then I've been doing all my guesting like this, which is really funny because I'm glad that you like it, and most people
Oh, I
do.
do.
I've gone I've gone through the whole process to be on somebody's show, and I guess they don't do research, and I show up as this cat and they go, well, I'm not going to record with you. You're not even a person. I go, yeah, I am. This is my, my guy here. Oh
You
no, it's gotta be a real person. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just won't do
no,
it.
no,
And
it's so much
but
fun. Like I
I've
saw
even recorded a show. I record 2 episodes of a show, recorded them. They had a great time and everything. And then a couple of days later, they wrote me, we're not going to use any of that because you're a cartoon. And I'm like, I was a cartoon the whole freaking time we were doing
no, who cares? Like first
it.
off, half the time, for half of this is on it's just sound. So they don't see it. So that doesn't matter. Two, I think it's fun. It adds something unique. And I get to enjoy looking at a cartoon. I'm a big kid. Again, I'm a nerd. I love this. This is right up my alley. And
Yeah.
the fact that in to whoever said we're not using it, like, dude, the fact that they got one of the OGs, like legit, if you have been doing this forever and you deserve that respect
Oh,
and
I
being
don't know
on the
about
show.
that, but
Oh, you do, dude.
I
Like,
just
come on.
I just let it
You've
roll
been
off. I mean, what do you? I mean, that's fine with me, but everybody you have to meet. Everybody's willing to do so much, right? So there's the
yeah,
line. I'm
it's
like, you get the cat, or you don't, and I'm fine with that. But I don't know why you had me record if you weren't going to use it. But maybe they just changed their mind. I don't know, but I
well,
don't
like,
fault them for it. But I do find it peculiar. Yeah.
I did my I do my research, and when I was looking into and I saw the cat, I was like, all right, that's cool. Like, I just thought it was your logo at first, and then doing it like, you come on the shows, and sometimes you do episodes as a cat, and I was like, and I didn't want to ask you to do it. I was like, if it happens, I want it to happen naturally. And I saw the cat, and I was like, all right, we're getting the cat. This is going to
You
be
get the
fun.
cat. Yeah. Everybody
I
gets the
get
cat these days.
I
Yeah.
I love that. So,
Yeah.
it has been a pleasure having you on, Bob. Like, you have been such a blast. And I want to wrap this episode up in the most proper way. So, where can the people out in Nerd Nation, out in the good world, in this market now that has so many things to listen to, where can they find you, sir?
Well, they can find me here, but also if they want to find me someplace else, I'm at staticradio.com or at static radio on most of the socials. I mean, there's a couple that we don't have that, but pretty much all of them at static radio. And I pop up all kinds of places these
I love
days.
that.
I just pop up wherever I feel like it sometimes.
I love that, dude. I would love to have you on again. This was an absolute blast, and the
Sure,
like
we could talk
last
about We can talk about the proliferation of streaming media if you want to. That's a very nerdy thing to talk about. We can talk
Absolutely.
about the long tail. We can talk about how they've monetized our childhoods, things like that.
Oh, don't even get me started on that one, dude. That absolutely they have. It's like every other week they're remaking some horror movie or
Uh-huh.
something. I'm gonna go on this one right say right now. Like I'm a big Jurassic Park fan. They're
Hmm.
now putting Jurassic Park back in theater for the third time,
Right.
and
Yeah.
people are gonna pay to see it. Like
Sure.
I did
It's the best one.
yeah, I loved it. But like I also
Yeah.
have it on Blu-ray and DVD, and I drank the Kool-Aid. I did see it with the 25th anniversary of Jurassic
Hmm.
Park. I went and saw it in theater because I was like, oh, 25th anniversary. Yeah, let's go do that. But now they're like, hey, we're just gonna put it back in theater. You want to come see it? And I'm like,
Well, that's a whole other conversation because you could talk about the if you want to be sensational, the death knell of the theater right now.
oh
We
yeah.
are in the throes of theaters, going down the tubes.
It is true, and but I will say this: they are finally putting up a fight, but they're doing it in the most unorthodox ways that I would
That's
have
why Jurassic
never.
Park's coming out again.
Well, yeah,
You'll
but
go
like
to the theater to watch it.
so it's not that what I think they're going to do it for. I think it's going to be for the popcorn buckets because that's what's saving
Oh
theaters right
right,
now.
yeah, the plastic.
And I'm a sucker for a decent popcorn bucket. I
Sure.
have the D&D D21. I have one from a Borderlands. Uh,
Hmm.
but because those are my things, and that's how they got me. They sucker me in for like a
Yeah.
$40 stupid piece of plastic.
It's
Um,
crazy. I was at Disneyland. I guess it's probably been about 2 years ago. Walking around, right, having a good day. This
yeah.
lady flags down my wife, and she's like, "Do you guys want some popcorn? Because I'm gonna buy." 'Cause at the time, they were doing the A Nightmare Before Christmas
Oh,
popcorn
okay, yeah.
buckets at Disneyland, and she bought like four of them, and she just wanted the containers, and she gave us all the popcorn.
I, yeah, yeah. It's it's weird, right? But like I'm just as guilty. I cannot judge. You
Yeah. Well, no,
know.
I am like, great. I mean, that's not cheap popcorn either. I was like, I love popcorn. I'll
No.
take your free popcorn, lady. Buy if you want to buy a couple more, I'll stand here and eat the rest of it.
Let's just do it. That's all you do. Just hold a trash
That's
bag. Like,
right.
I'll take the
Anybody
popcorn.
else? That's right. So,
Bob,
all right, I'm gonna hang out here all day today. You guys can go
that's a
ride the
great.
rides.
That's exactly what you should do. Sir, it was a pleasure having you on. We absolutely have to do this again. We'll have to get the co-hosts on. Maybe we can get Miles on.
Good luck.
Just so
I'll
we can
try. I'll
we
try.
could do it. I would love that. I think that would be a special experience. So let's go ahead and let's wrap this up on our side. As always,
Sure.
please like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you're listening to podcasts. And if you are listening to us on Apple or Spotify, please remember to rate and review. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, so please like and follow us at DNA Pod or on our webpage, www.nerddnapod.com. I'm your host, Steve Pugh, and I have been joined by one of the best guests I have ever had on my show. Bob, like, this was an absolute blast. Seriously, you were so much fun to talk to, sir. And I look forward to our future endeavors, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me. I whatever topic you want to do, just let me know. I'll try to get Miles, but
I won't hold you to it, but I will look forward to
yeah,
it.
don't blame me. Yeah.
Thank you and good night.